What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another film breakdown. Today we're going to be checking out Kenny Clark of the Green Bay Packers, one of the more underrated defensive players I do believe in the NFL. This dude's an absolute stud. We look at his base, we look at his punch, we look at his leverage, his extension, everything he does very, very well. He's a technician. He's also got a phenomenal motor on him, which is why I love watching him play so much. Definitely one of my favorite players in the NFL. A ton of fun to watch. So with all that being said, before I dive too far into this Kenny Clark video, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. And if you know a Packers fan who would like to see a video like this, go ahead and send that on over. If you're a new Packers fan, welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying this content. Now, with all that being said, let's go on and dive into this Kenny Clark video. Kenny Clark, like I said before, just an outstanding football player. And to really understand what he does for this defense, we kind of have to understand what this defense is all about, right? They run this very simple 3-4. Right now, we got our two defensive ends in a 4-eye, right? Really making it tough to pull guards in this situation. We got our nose head up. He's going to really be two-gapping. And again, something else Green Bay does a lot is they'll bump these defensive ends in, so they're in 2-3 techniques on the outside shoulders of the guard. They'll squeeze in their two outside linebackers. Right here are edge defenders, and really they're taking care of the edges of that defense. And really what I believe this defense is all about is opening up lanes for your linebacker to go and make plays, right? If you got a runner, if you got a linebacker who can move and he's quick and covers sideline to sideline, it's a great defense for him because he can really go. He doesn't have to worry about other guys in front of him. He doesn't really have to worry about guards working up on double teams. He can just go and play football. Now, was that executed to the best ability last year for the Green Bay Packers? Not necessarily, but I don't believe that was Kenny Clark's fault. So Kenny Clark in this defense, right, we're going to see a lot of two-gapping, right? We're going to see a lot of eating up double teams, but Kenny Clark does a really good job of being aggressive in that role. And he's not necessarily, in my eyes, a cut from the cloth of Vince Wilfork, because I think he's a little bit more of a penetrator than that, right? When you look at a guy like Vince Wilfork, he was very much so eating up space as a defensive tackle. So here we go with this first play here. Vikings are going to be running a wide zone, and really what we're looking for on the offensive line is we're looking for a scoop block, right? A scoop combo on this where we're working up to the linebacker with our center. This backside guard's going to work up and combo and really take Kenny Clark and work him upfield and out of this play, or really down the line of scrimmage so your running back can cut off of that. Now, what Kenny Clark does such a good job of is hanging on to the backside of this center, right? We're not over the top so the center pushes, right? Really what we're doing is we're creating a gray area for these two offensive linemen, because Kenny Clark's not so far over that the center can push and this guard can work up, but it's also not a situation where the guard can take over and the center can work up. He's sitting in that gray area, and then he does a great job of fighting over the top of this thing and really beating Blake Martinez to that gap to make a tackle on that ball carrier. But that's not all that Kenny Clark can do. He also does a ton when it comes to eating up double teams, right? And in this situation, we're going to see a combo right here between this guard and center. They're just trying to work him upfield and work to a linebacker here, right? We're looking to this backer right here. You can see the eyes on this guard. Kenny Clark does a phenomenal job of hanging on to this double team, right? Yeah, we're losing ground, but you got to die slow in this situation. Good base right here. We're trying to split these two cats. Really, we're working on one, which I've heard a lot of defensive line coaches say, hey, when we're getting double team, just pick one. Don't try and take two of these guys. You're going to get smoked. We'll see later. Kenny Clark does just that and does a good job of it. But really what we're doing in this situation is we're trying to eat up blockers. Blake Martinez does a good job coming off the backside of that thing and making a play on it. And really what I see consistently from Kenny Clark, and we can see it in this clip right here, is explosion off the snap. Great job with his hands, firing right into the chest of an offensive lineman. Boom, right there. Look at that leverage. Eyes are in this dude's chest. Our arms are fully extended, right? We're trying to squeeze gaps. Phenomenal job on that play. Nice wide base. This dude's just, he's a very active one-tech nose tackle, kind of like a hybrid player. Like if you threw this guy in a one-tech in a 4-3 scheme, kind of like we see right here, he's lined up in a 2-eye in this situation, but I think he would thrive. Now we look at this play right here from when the Packers played the Oakland Raiders earlier in the season, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to eating up blockers and really being a thorn in the side for offensive linemen. This is Rodney Hudson and Richie Incognito, two very good players for the Oakland Raiders, and we're trying to split this, right? As we're trying to, again, Oakland's trying to run that wide zone, so we're trying to cut this thing back. But what we've done here is we've held Richie Incognito in this situation. He can't work up to this backer, and then we can't push out here. Again, we sit in that gray area. He does a great job fighting upfield, right? We're not just having our hands on with Richie Incognito. We're also sticking in this gap and forcing 64 to stay here. right? And really what that does is now we've clogged this entire front side of this play. So now if we do have to gain yards, we got to cut this thing back. But we're working right into the teeth of this defense when we do that. Now, in order for this to happen, Kenny Clark has to do what he's doing right there. And then just an absolute beast of a play here, working through that center's block and making a play on that wide zone. The dude just does a phenomenal job day in and day out. And like I said, it's unselfish play out of Kenny Clark. And here's another example of this, right? What we're going to get here is we're going to get two-back power from the Oakland Raiders. And just from very simple offensive line perspective, we're going to look to combo here and work up to this backer. Kenny Clark takes on this tackle, right? He's taught, okay, we're gonna spike and go head up on this tackle. Boom, right there. Incognito's now going to work up to this Mike. But what I love about this from Kenny Clark, helmet's right here, right? We're on the outside of this thing, which is great for an offensive lineman because now we can work inside to that inside V of your shoulder pads, and we got a lane. But Kenny Clark does a great job with his hands, fights, puts his helmet right back into that gap right in time for this polar, and now we've clogged this play, right? We're supposed to keep this thing a gap when we run power, but Kenny Clark's done such a good job of creating that pile up and at the putting his helmet on the inside gap of that so that polar can't get through. That's a phenomenal play from a defensive tackle that you don't see all the time. That's unselfish. That's great football. It's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but at the end of the day, he's really helping this Green Bay Packer defense tick, right? And that's all he can do, really. He can't go out there and make plays as a linebacker. He's doing exactly what he was put on this Green Bay Packers defense to do, and that's eat up blockers, eat up space, and be a force to be reckoned with on the defensive line. Here we go again, just kind of a one-on-one matchup with Rodney Hudson, right? Does a good job of just taking one of these two guys, and then he kind of falls into a tackle right here. But again, we're not getting smoked. We're not getting pushed out of here. We're standing firm, keeping our base, and staying right in this gap. Really good job from Kenny Clark in this Oakland Raiders game. Now, I should say Josh Jacobs did rip a run for like 40 yards or 70 yards. He had a couple of big runs, but again, I didn't see those as Kenny Clark's fault, and especially on those plays in particular. Now moving on to this game against the Niners, not one of the Packers' better games, but Kenny Clark just had a phenomenal game here, right? And we're working against one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And San Francisco does such a good job of getting guys out of gap and working on angles, blocking wise. And Kenny Clark does a good job right here, right? They're working a combo between 68 and 69. Boom. We're going to stay in our gap right here. Look at this. We're eating up two guys right now. Now we give our boy a chance to work over the top or to fill into this gap because he's got nobody in his lap. Right, Blake Martinez finally kind of collects himself and makes a play on that. But again, eating up those blockers, taking up space. This is where Kenny Clark thrives, right? And I think that it was really the lack of linebacker play that hurt the Packers because it wasn't 97. I mean, he played a phenomenal game in and game out. Really, I was kind of expecting this Niners game to see Kenny Clark, not have his best, but he did really well. I mean, look at this play right here. We're working inside zone with a wham. We're going to get pushed on by this guard, right? We're working down with our center. We're working down, not really inside zone, but it looks like a version of it. We're working here, right? When we have that down block, we got to fight pressure. We got to fight friction. Boom, right? We get a nice wide base. We're trying to really extend that arm, which we get right there. Right now, we're clogging up gaps over here. Running back's not going to bounce it because we got other cats coming on the outside of this defense. He's forced to just lower his shoulder, try and pick up what you can, and Kenny Clark's there to make a play. It's those plays like that, right? And this is another one, and he does such a good job of shutting down this wide zone. But look what we do on this, okay? We're going to attack, right? We see, and clearly there was something going on in film pregame because as soon as we see him motion out this way, Kenny Clark works over into that play side A-gap. You can see as soon as that fullback moves, you can see him kind of start to slant that way. And so he literally is just going to go and kind of tackle this guard right here. Boom. Now we've got the guard and we've got the center on this zone going to the play side. Well, this tackle's working out right here, this backer. 94's got to get over and make a play on that or try and force it backside into the teeth of that thing. And again, it all starts with Kenny Clark eating up blockers and eating up space. Here's another one against the Bears, right? Trying to work a combo on an inside zone. And it's not like these are, one-off play. This is play in and play out against the staple plays that offenses are trying to run. Boom, right? We're going to take on one. The center's now trying to work. We really don't have an angle to hit him on. Nice wide base here, fighting with our hands. Great job getting that leverage, getting that extension, and then making a play on that inside zone. Really good job. And now really where I saw the best from Kenny Clark was in their divisional game against Seattle. And this center had a long day, and I'm not here to, to light this dude up, but he had a long day. Kenny Clark off the snap right here. Again, the hands. I love the hands with this dude. Inside leverage. We're hitting it right on the inside of that shoulder pad, and then we're trying to shed, man. Get off of me. Boom. Love the little swim move right there with our outside arm. We're going to hit the inside arm of that center, and then we're going to swim over the top, right, collect ourselves in the backfield and try and make a play on Marshawn. Really, really good job from Kenny Clark, and he just continued throughout this divisional game. The center had a long game, man. But really, to me, where does it start? Why is it so good, right? Off the snap, we're feeding this dude our hands right there. Boom, right into his chest. Great job right there. Good job with the base. Eyes in the backfield, the leverage, right? The extension, the leverage, eyes in the backfield. Now we got to react to make a play, which is exactly what we do. He saved his best football for this game against Seattle. Once again, what we're doing, we're going to squeeze this gap right here, right? The extension, the arms, the hands, game in and game out. That's what you get from 97 on the Green Bay Packers. Just a phenomenal job. Boom, right there. Squeeze the gap. Right, as we're trying to fold in here with a tackle, I believe. Now we've squeezed this thing. Now we got nowhere to go. We're going to pop outside here. We got 50 to make a play. We got 91 squeezing on the backside, but it all starts because we squeeze this gap. If the center works this thing out right here, now we're pulling. Not sure which way the puller was going, but he doesn't have a ton of room to work with. Right? Great job by Kenny Clark on that play, and like I said, he just continued it throughout that Seattle game. We'll go into a little bit of his pass rush moves. He does a really good job once he gets shocker with his hands, right? And he's a big dude, so you're not going to see a ton of that finesse. He's not as quick as a guy like Aaron Donald, probably because he's a little bit bigger. But again, you see the head fake. Boom, we're hitting that inside hand, swimming over the top. Really good job spiking in on a play like that. I believe he had 6.5 sacks for the Packers this year. But, like I said, what I see from, this is a phenomenal play right here, man. Talk about the head movement, the hands, the feet, everything, getting skinny through that gap, working with that outside hand, slapping the elbows, and then working across with his inside arm to get skinny. Really, really good job from Kenny Clark. And then once again, we see right here just working on that outside edge, right, trying to get Russell Wilson. He does end up bringing him down for a sack on this play. Great job staying with it from 97. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this film breakdown. I hope that if you're a Packers fan, you get a little excited when you see 97 walk onto the field next year, because he's definitely one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. So with all that being said, guys, I'm the Hook Kid. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. That would just mean the world to both of us. That's all I got for you guys today, but I'm sure I'll see you soon. And stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.